Hey friends, welcome to the Upright Christian Parenting Podcast, Season 4, part of the Treehouse Storyteller family, and I'm your host, Hannah Peru. This is your place for upright parenting in today's sideways culture. We don't tiptoe around hard truths around here. We tackle cultural issues head on, build a bold biblical worldview, and equip you to lead your flock with courage. Our kids are being discipled by something, so let's make sure it's us. Grab your coffee, lace up your shoes, and let's raise kingdom arrows. What if your child's biggest worldview questions could be answered before they ever step foot out into the world? Creation Without a Bang is my brand new children's book, helping families reclaim the truth of Genesis once again and God's intentional design. This powerful story reminds children they are not the product of random chance, but the handiwork of a purposeful creator. Endorsed by Sam Sorbo herself, this book is equipping the next generation with truth, wonder, and confidence in God's Word. Order your copy of Creation Without a Bang today at thetreehousestoryteller.com. Hey guys, welcome back to Upright Christian Parenting. We are still in Nashville, Tennessee at the National Religious Broadcasters. And today I have someone with me that I have been prayerfully hoping would have this conversation with me for a long time. Finally looped him into it. Thanks for joining us, Mark Hancock.
Well, it's great that we're finally together. It just makes sense for us to have this conversation because we care about the same things.
We do, totally. So, guys, if you don't know, Mark Hancock is the CEO of Trail Life USA. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, so exciting to talk to you. I really want to get into it, but first of all, just give us briefly, lay the foundation. Who's Trail Life?
Yeah, okay. Well, that's easy, and that's one of my favorite things to talk about after talking about myself. We're the Christ-centered, boy-focused character leadership and adventure organization. We're formed in 1,500 churches across the country, about 70,000 members, and it sounds a lot like an organization formerly known as the Boy Scouts, because that was our beginnings. About 13 years ago, the Boy Scouts started to abandon some of their more traditional biblical values, and about 300 volunteers across the country started talking about what would it look like to build an organization that reflects the original values of a Boy Scouts organization, but was unapologetically and strictly Christian.
Yeah.
And out of that, those volunteers, about 50 of us gathered in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was almost like a continental congress. There were ministry leaders, former scouting executives, church leaders, all sorts of things, just debating how should this thing be done and what would it look like. Most of them left the room and left 9 of us as part of a steering committee, and we were tasked with putting together a convention to take the energy around these Boy Scout changes and start to build something new. So 63 days later, here in Nashville, Tennessee, we held our inaugural convention. Had 1,100 men come from 44 states and about 100 women, and we rolled out. 63 days later, with no staff, rolled out all the logos, the concepts, the ideas, and then 3 months later we launched, and now we've grown to like I said, 1,500 troops and 70,000 members in all 50 states. So.
Yeah, and you were with Boy Scouts previously.
I wasn't. I was a dad of 2 Boy Scouts. We're a homeschooling family, so I didn't drop my sons in anything. So
yeah, we homeschool too, all 3 of them.
So we were involved in Boy Scouts. We loved it. Had a Christian troop, but when the Scouts began to slide, the church that was chartering troops said we can't continue, and that was part of my passion about saying I don't want to lose this. And we talked with our own family. We were grieving these changes. We had to sit down with our sons and say, as much as we love this, we just can't do this.
Yeah,
it's not who we are. Yeah. We can't be part of that. And it was an incredible lesson.
So they were part of it.
Yeah, I was always there, but I was just a dad sitting in the back.
Yeah.
Funny story, Hannah. They came to me, the leaders, and they said, "Would you consider being a leader in the troop?" And I was like, I don't really feel called to lead boys. And here, who knew? But
God's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, so that was part of the thing that drew me into it. And then I got an invitation to be one of those 50 and then to one of the 9. And then I because I had traveled around the world for a number of years putting together crusades, I was the one out of the 9 who had experience in putting an event together. So I put together the other event for Nashville and just stayed on board and became on the board of directors. Yeah. And then I stepped off the board when they asked me to serve as the first CEO, and I've served as that gladly since day one.
Yeah. Well, let's pull off the Band-Aid and expose, really why were you not able to commit to Boy Scouts fully? What's going on there?
Yeah, in 2013, Boy Scouts made a decision against they pulled their membership, but against their membership, but more in line with their donors and the money.
Follow the money.
Their first decision was to allow open and avowed homosexual boys. Now, there's always been homosexual boys in organizations, men in organizations, but the challenge we knew was going to be for the churches, and that they were requiring the leaders to acknowledge that boy's outward and open identity, and then somehow manage that in an organization that's in the outdoors and so just operationally, how do you do this?
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing that we knew was going to cause problems. And of course, with our family, which as always, we can't be part of somebody that doesn't agree with the biblical values that we hold, and we think the Bible is pretty clear on this. We love everybody, but we can't agree with that lifestyle. And but even, Anna, you'll understand this because you have at least one son I've met, amazing young man, I can tell.
One son, 2 daughters.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
But at his age and under, to be forced to have a discussion with them that we really didn't intend on, in terms of maturity or wherever, why am I talking to my sons about what a homosexual is?
Sure.
Why are they forcing me to have this conversation with my son, to talk about this kind of issue? Right. I will at some point, but I've got to have it now because we're pulling them out of Boy Scouts, and they have to understand why, because they love the experience with me. I went on all the camping trips, I did all the stuff, but I just did it as a dad. Yeah. And to be forced into that conversation, in a culture that was wrestling with this. So Trail Life was forged kind of in the fires of this cultural war around that battle, around the time of the same-sex marriage change by the Supreme Court and all that. And so that was sort of our beginnings, but we don't point to that anymore. Boy Scouts have gone farther down the line to now where they've changed their name. Now they're an organization that has both boys and girls. They had their first increase in membership last year. They've dropped from 7 million members down to around 1 million. They had the first increase because they added 200,000 girls, and they lost fewer than 200,000 boys. Wow. So they're able to show a little bit uptick. But I think in a few years it'll be primarily a girls organization, because girls are just easier to deal with. They sit still. Is
that a fact? Is that a fact?
Boys and girls are different. I hope your listeners can accept that. 6,500 biological differences between boys and girls. It's not a value statement. They're just different.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that in your household. They're just different. And the wonder and the marvel and the beauty and the design of a girl and the wonder, the marvel and beauty and the design of a boy needs to be respected and acknowledged and encouraged, and environments provided for that. Yeah. And so two things that are different, severely different between us and Boy Scouts, is we are Christ-centered and we are boy-focused. And those are things that will never change. They're built into our bylaws to where 80% of our troops would have to vote to change our membership standards.
I love that.
When Boy Scouts, the home office decided, they said, they announced they were going to do that. They had a rebellion. And they said, well, let's slow this down. Let's talk to our troops. They talked to the troops, and the troops said, we don't want to. But they handpicked 1,300 delegates and brought them together, and the delegates voted to change the membership
They did
standards.
it anyways.
So we, as you can imagine, we had a lot of people come to us and say, when are you going to let us down? When are you going to abandon us? When are you going to? And so we built that into our bylaws. It can't be changed by that 80% vote of our troops. So.
There's kind of a theme I feel like I'm having in a lot of conversations today. There's two things that keep stirring. One is this idea of trust. And there's so much that our culture has just completely cut off trust in all of these different industries or organizations. And, that's what I'm hearing you say is, people are skeptical. People are going, hey, when are you going to change? When are you going to, and reestablishing this framework that that you guys have laid out so clearly in your bylaws, that you're standing firm. I just picture this like anchor that's rooted deep in the ground, that it's not changing.
No,
it's not going anywhere.
It's not.
And that ability to hold completely on to those values and those principles, and the very first thing, Christ is the center. I mean, that's everything. That's got to be the first,
Absolutely.
always, everything.
Absolutely.
And if he is the center, if he truly is the center, then everything else below that trickles into place. And I love that. So thank you for being a piece of one of those, I just picture these bricks of trust. I just got to sit down with Bill Abbott and, in media, like, okay, you're a brick of trust. You guys are a brick of trust that we're rebuilding in our everyday culture, things that we get to do with our family, get to do with our kids, get to expose our kids to, like, hey, this is something we can trust.
Yeah.
From our very first days, America has been driven by the idea that hard work could lead us to the life we always envisioned. And today, honoring that legacy, College of the Ozarks does more than just provide an education. We're reawakening the American spirit.
When I thought about college, I knew that I wanted to do something that I was ambitious. C of O opened my eyes to the opportunities that were out there for me.
Our model of providing a Christian liberal arts education to those facing economic hardship hasn't wavered since 1906. Our students graduate debt-free through our work education program. They learn how to live a life guided by their faith. And as they begin their careers, they've learned how to take their seat at the table of influence and open the door of opportunity for others.
Being an assistant principal has allowed me to pour into kids the way that people have poured into me and open up doors and opportunities to things that they didn't know were possible.
We're reawakening the American spirit in the next generation. Will you join us?
And there's so many things that are unsure in our culture. And when we look at boys, we look at four main things that we're addressing. Boys are unguided. 1 in 4 boys now doesn't have a father in his household. 76% of public school teachers are female. 80-something% of Sunday school teachers are female. So girls have these wonderful role models. If a girl has a single mom, she's killing it. That's not easy, being a single mom. And then, so the boy sees a single mom saying, wow, that's what I know what a strong woman looks like. And then he goes to school and there's a teacher, a female at the front, like, I know what a strong woman looks like. And then he goes to Sunday school, I know what a strong woman looks like.
Yeah.
But they're missing that foundational picture. When a Supreme Court justice candidate can't tell you what a woman is, how do you expect a 7 or 8 year old boy to tell you what a man is? So we're taking care of that in Trail Life. We're showing them this is what a godly man looks like. And at a certain age levels, right around 9 or 10 years old, all of the troop contact is males. So the moms aren't there, the women aren't there, the men are leading the boys because they have to see that vision. They're unguided. They're also ungrounded, and that's what you're speaking to the truth. Only 30-something% of Americans believe that God and the Bible are the source of moral authority. How do you talk to a boy about right and wrong or good and evil if you don't have some sort of foundation for truth?
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's why we ground them in the Word of God. It's at our core. It's who we are. It's in every badge. We're not just Sunday school in the outdoors. It's interspersed through everything. We talk about like being carrot in the carrot cake. You get a piece of carrot cake. You don't get big hunks of carrot, but there's carrot in every bite. So Christ is infused throughout the entire program, but it's not a churchy, Sunday school-y kind of way because the boys have already checked out of Sunday school. They walk into that room, sit still, be quiet, pay attention. Say, I'm failing in school, I'm going to fail here too. And that's the first message that the church is giving them. So in Trail Life, we say, come here, you can be fully boy, but you're going to get Christ. It's infused throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And we also say they're unappreciated. The differences between boys and girls, biological, psychological, developmental, so many differences between boys and girls, and we recognize those things. And so we set an environment that's built for boys. And we also recognize that boys are uninspired. Participation trophies, we don't want you to lose, it may hurt your feelings. All that sort of thing has really damaged boys. They're different. Boys will not engage if there isn't something at stake. Yeah. They're wired for that. Yeah. That's why men stormed the beaches of Normandy to free the world of tyranny, because there's something big at stake. I got you. I'll do it. But if they're not giving something to fight for or to win or to compete for, they disengage. That's why in the soccer field it's like everybody gets a trophy. Really? I think I just won't chase the ball this time.
Yeah.
If I'm going to get the same trophy
Sure.
as the kid who's sitting there on, cross-legged pulling 4-leaf clovers, I think I'll just do that, And so it's a surprising kind of way. So you talk about truth, but there's this other foundational things that boys require. They need to be guided. Mm-hmm. And it's such a confusing word. What does it mean to be a boy? It's not some kind of social disease that needs to be eradicated. They're not a defective girl. They are this actual thing that's different than a girl and has strengths that you need to uncover. So the unguided, they're ungrounded. You got to give them the grounding. You got to give them the foundation. They're unappreciated. You got to recognize that they're different than girls. They're not going to sit still, be quiet, pay attention. Harvard scientists tell us that boys have to move in order to be engaged. Maybe you've experienced at the dining room table where your son's leg is going up and down, the forks are rattling across the table.
You know what? We solved this problem really early on and said, I think he's a drummer.
Yeah.
Because he's always tapping, always beating.
He's a boy.
Yep, he's a drummer.
And he is saying to you, if you want me present, you've got to take this movement. Because I need that in order for my brain to be engaged. So what does that look like in a classroom? He can't sit still. He's got ADHD. Let's medicate him. Let's stop him from moving.
Yeah.
Sit still, be quiet, pay attention. Why can't you behave like Susie? Because I'm not wired like Susie. If you want my brain, you're going to have to take this other thing. Squirrel.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to take this distraction. My body is built.
right.
My eyes are built to see things in the difference, in the distance, and in motion.
Yeah.
They're built different than girls. Girls'
Yeah.
eyes are built to see things up close.
Yeah.
Which
It's
is
fascinating.
why it is fascinating. So why not pay attention to those things and say, listen, he's not distracted. It's not ADD. It's not ADHD. It's BOY. He's built to move.
Yeah.
And that's a wonderful thing. And when we begin to recognize those things and appreciate those things, and then around inspiration, they're uninspired. We have to give them goals that are worthy.
Yeah.
Hard things to do.
Yeah.
My oldest son earned his Eagle Scout at 13 years old. And then Trail Life started. He transferred over in Trail Life and earned his Freedom Award, which is our highest award. I read every part of the Freedom Award. They have to write an essay, a life ambition essay. I read every single one of those essays because I want to see the boys we're churning out. Amazing young men. I haven't seen anyone younger than 17 years old get one of those. Most of them are 18 years old by the time they get it. I mean, they age out of the program at 18, but they finish up their Freedom Award. They're allowed to finish up their Freedom Award. But it's that difficult.
Yeah.
And here we're challenging boys to do hard things instead of saying, well, let's make it easier for you. We're failing boys not because we're over-challenging them, but because we're under-challenging them.
Yeah.
And that's the culture that they're raised in. Low expectations. You're not as good as the girls. You can't keep up with the girls. You're twice as likely to be in special education, 3 times more likely to have ADHD, falling behind girls in every single academic category. They're leading in suicide rates between 10 and 14 years old. Boys are fastest growing category.
Sad.
Yeah, so it's really tragic. So you talk about truth and these kind of tenets that we need in order to uphold boys and keep them engaged so that we can raise a good, strong generation of young men. And that's what we're trying to do in Trail Life.
Oh my goodness. Mark, you touched on 50 things I would love to dig deeper in. It was just incredible from the eyesight thing. I want to make sure our audience doesn't miss this because I know where you're at here, but I want you to spell it out for them. So the eyesight for the men.
Yeah.
Now, what does that really give them the opportunity to do versus the women?
Okay, you look at, and I did unload a lot on you, but you asked a great question.
It was so good. It was so, no, you didn't unload, it was so, I love every single bit of it.
Science of the eye is that boys and men have more rods and cones in their eyes than the women because their eyes are designed to see things at a distance and in motion.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yes.
They're sitting around the fire and there's something that can eat us.
Yes.
So they have to be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
In a classroom, what does that look like? Squirrel. I mean, they're distracted because they are going to see the thing at distance and motion.
Yeah.
So it's why can't you pay attention? Because something could eat us. I mean, that's still somewhat in their DNA.
Yeah.
The squirrel isn't likely to, but I'm still attracted to that because my eyes are built for that.
Yeah.
And of course, a girl's eyes are, when you see a woman holding a newborn.
Yes.
And this as a mother, every pore on that little baby's face you're familiar with.
Yeah.
You see a man doing that, and it's like, that's interesting. It kind of stands out. It's wonderful. Isn't that wonderful that man is connecting with his child that way? But within 30 or 45 seconds, he's like, somebody, because he's not built for that. He can do that, but he's not built for that.
Yeah.
And so just when you look at ears, young girls can hear 4 times better than young boys. You probably know that. You have sons. You have a son and a daughter.
That's why he didn't wake up at those middle of the night feedings.
Yeah.
You just gave him an excuse. Come on.
He's wired that way, and so that's just different. So what does that look like in a classroom?
Yeah.
Well, if the teacher isn't loud enough, if the teacher is soft-spoken or something, the boy has more trouble concentrating, focusing.
Yeah.
The girls are getting it. Why can't Susie got it? Why aren't you getting it?
Right.
It's hard. Number one, there's a squirrel out there. Number two, all the stuff I got going on in my head is not as loud as what it is that you're saying. I got a lot going on. How do you have a lot going on? Look at the generation they're raised in. I'm old enough to remember when they started televising football games and they added the score. Like you're watching the game and they added the score to the screen, and how distracting that was for me. It's like I'm trying to watch the game here. I'm trying to watch the game.
Interesting.
But these kids now you look at a sports game and there's all kinds of stuff going on the screen. Scores and stats and fantasy football stuff and what's on next. I mean, that's the world they're raised in. I remember trying to play video games with my sons. Like, how do you know, that little meter over there and that? How are you getting all that?
Yeah, I've never understood that.
They are learning.
Can't watch it all.
They are raised in a world where there are multiple channels coming up at the same time, and they're able to process all that.
Yeah.
So sit a boy in a classroom and say, sit still, be quiet, pay attention to one voice. Mm-hmm. And it's no wonder he seems distracted because that's so boring.
Yeah.
I can do. So my sons that were homeschooled, I remember when we decided to bring our boys home, we had them at the church school that I was principal of, so I kind of had them there. But to bring them home and homeschool them, my wife and I went to a surplus sale at the school board, and we bought one of those little seats with a built-in desk. I took it home, sanded it down, varnished it, painted 2 of them, sanded it, varnished, painted. This is where the boys are going to sit. I don't think anybody ever sat in those chairs. They learned, hanging upside down off the couch or under the table with a dog on their head or whatever. But they learned. Both of them were full-ride academic scholarships, and, it worked, letting them learn that way. They would not have been allowed to hang upside down on their desk at school. but the key was, are they learning? Are they growing? Are they able to do this?
Yeah.
And that's the way that they learn. And I didn't have daughters, but I imagine that they would have encountered that differently. My wife did a great job taking them outside to learn, taking them to the library, lots of trips like that, keeping them engaged because they need that.
Yeah.
When you put a worksheet in front of a boy, it's like, shoot me now. It's like, seriously?
Yeah.
Can we just do something else?
They need that challenge like we started with. Yep. They need the hard things. They need the outside time.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Yep.
It really is a beautiful thing how God designed us in His image, but uniquely different. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for what you're doing to make that happen. And kind of that paradigm shift of how you said, they can't sit down and listen necessarily all the time, but to all the different things going on, to really going, hey, let's go, instead of being still, let's go do these hard things. Let's go do these outside and learn how to listen to the one voice that matters.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool.
Absolutely.
So thanks so much for being here with us. I really appreciate everything you're doing. What's a call to action for my audience? How can they get in touch with you guys?
Love to share this with them. Our website is traillifeusa.com, 2 L's in the middle, traillifeusa.com. There's a tab there that's Get Connected, and you see a map of the United States. You put in your zip code. It'll show you the troops that are nearby, and you connect with them. And then you can also start a troop there if there's not one nearby. It takes about 5 adults in your church in order to charter a troop. If you think you're going to start with 20 boys, you're going to start with 40. If you think you're going to start with 10, you're going to start with 20, because boys will come out of the woodwork because parents are looking for organizations that are aligned with their values, that get their boys, because we're constantly putting our boys in situations with people who don't appreciate who it is that they are. Breaks my heart to see boys everywhere they go, they don't quite fit. They fit at Trail Life.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's incredible. I love that. I'll make sure all that's in our show notes to make it really easy on you guys. And for my Colorado viewers, because it's my #1 state, we need more in Colorado for sure. Get more on the map, go start a troop. So, Mark, thanks so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless.
If today's conversation stirred something in you, if you're craving a little more quiet, a little more presence, and a little more Jesus in the everyday, I want to invite you to grab the Wanderer's Field Guide. It's a 4-week journey of seeking, gathering, harvesting, and abiding in His presence. Just 1 page a day, 1 prayer at a time. It's not about perfection, it's about coming home to Him. You can order yours at thetreehousestoryteller.com.
Wait, before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and follow us on Facebook or Instagram at The Treehouse Storyteller so we can stay connected. Head on over to thetreehousestoryteller.com for more products, artwork, photography, and encouragement. See you next time.